Mariano Rivera. If you ask 10 baseball fans to name the first closer that comes to mind, I'll bet you $1 that at least 7 out of 10 times, that's the name you'll get. From the others, you might get a Trevor Hoffman here, or a Billy Wagner there. Heck, if you ask a younger fan, you might expect to hear Josh Hader or Craig Kimbrell mentioned. The point is, the closer's role is one that fans know the best of the best by name. Ever since Hoyt Wilhelm first popularized the role in the 1950s, years before the save was even an official stat. While most great closers started off their professional careers as starters, think Mariano or Billy Wagner, and others were former position players that just couldn't hit, see Trevor Hoffman or Kenley Jansen, there is a select group of stoppers that were bred for the closer role from the moment they stepped foot on a professional mound. The first name that comes to my mind is Craig Kimbrell. He was bred as an ex-Braves closer from the moment he joined the Atlanta organization. The second is the man I consider, in my personal opinion, to be the next great closer, and the subject of this video. San Diego Padres right-hander, Robert Suarez. Suarez took an unusual path to the majors. Like most Latin American players, Suarez came from humble beginnings. Unlike most Latin American players, though, Suarez did not sign with a major league team when he was still in his teens. By his own account, he didn't have the stuff or even the projection to succeed in baseball at the time. Instead, he chose to continue honing his craft in his native Venezuela, relegating the game he loved to a weekend pastime, taking part in amateur and semi-pro leagues while working a full-time job during the week. It was only after a teammate on one of those teams suggested that he follow him to Mexico, where he played during the summer, did Suarez finally take that first step towards a life in baseball. Upon arriving in Mexico in 2014, the then 23-year-old Suarez first tested himself in the Campeche State Baseball League, a semi-pro league. Later that year, he attended a tryout with the Cañeros de los Mochis of the Mexican Pacific League, a winter league, but ultimately did not sign. Eventually, though, he caught the eye of the Zaraperos de Saltillo of the Mexican League and was signed to his first professional contract before the start of the 2015 season. He was sent to the minor leagues initially, but was called up just a week into the season. By May, he had gone from long relief duty to having taken over the closer's role, eventually finishing the year with a record of 5-0 to go along with a 1.71 ERA and 23 saves in 47 1/3 innings. Needless to say, his performance caught the eye of big league scouts who were wowed by his impressive fastball, one that now touched 100 miles an hour, as well as his control, as he only walked a grand total of 7 batters the entire season. Where did this 24-year-old rookie that had never pitched professionally before suddenly come from? The offers poured in from both the US and overseas, but in the end, Suarez ultimately chose to sign with the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks of the Nippon Professional Baseball League on a reported $350,000 contract. The jump to Japan wasn't easy, but he still pitched well in his first season, finishing the year with a 2-6 record, a 3.19 ERA, 64 strikeouts, 26 holds, and 1 save in 53 2/3 innings. The following year, he was selected to represent his native Venezuela in the 2017 World Baseball Classic. But early in the tournament, he suffered an injury in a game against, ironically of all teams, Mexico. He ultimately needed Tommy John surgery and would miss the entire season. After almost 2 years out, Suarez returned to the Hawks in August of 2018. As is the norm for most pitchers returning from Tommy John surgery, he struggled in his return, finishing the season with a 6.30 ERA across just 10 innings. He spent the majority of 2019 in the minors and pitched well there, posting a 2.87 ERA in 54 innings. The same couldn't be said for his big league performance that year, though, as his ERA ballooned to 5.74 in just 26 2/3 innings with the Hawks. After winning a second consecutive Japan series, the Hawks chose not to re-sign Suarez for the following season, making him a free agent. Less than 2 weeks after hitting free agency, Suarez signed with the Hanshin Tigers. It was with the Tigers where he finally blossomed into the pitcher that the Hawks had envisioned when they signed him from Mexico 4 years prior. He was named the Hanshin closer to start the season and was dominant throughout, finishing the year with a 2.24 ERA and 19 walks across 52 1/3 innings, while racking up a Central League leading 25 saves. He was even better in 2021, lowering his ERA to a ridiculous 1.16 with only 8 walks across 62 1/3 innings. That's right, 8 walks. He also led the Central League in saves yet again, closing out 42 games. On top of his elite numbers, he also set a Tigers record during the season, recording a save in 14 consecutive appearances, breaking the previous record of 11 held by former Chicago Cubs and Texas Rangers pitcher Kyuji Fujikawa. During the offseason, the major leagues once again came calling, and this time, Suarez decided to answer the call. He made the jump to the big leagues, one that had been 7 years in the making, signing a 2-year contract with the San Diego Padres. All those years spent working as a security guard and construction worker back in his native Venezuela, while still holding on to the faintest of his dream, his decision to bet on himself and leave home for Mexico with just the savings he'd scoured up and without even so much as a guarantee of landing a job, his betting on himself and turning down MLB minor league offers in exchange for a chance to prove himself in Japan, it had all paid off. Upon his arrival, Suarez was amongst the favorites to land the Padres' closer role before San Diego ultimately acquired Taylor Rogers from the Twins at the start of the season. With Rogers not yet available for opening day though, Suarez was summoned to close out that first game. His debut was, well, just see for yourself. After not recording an out in his big league debut and being hung with the loss, Suarez slowly started to find his footing, and by the time June rolled around, he had lowered his ERA to a more than respectable 3.09. It was in June, though, that he was bitten by the injury bug, going down with a knee injury that would ultimately require surgery and force him to miss 2 months of the season. He returned in early August and resumed where he'd left off, becoming the bridge to new team closer Josh Hader. Suarez was so dominant down the stretch that from the day the calendar flipped to September all the way to Game 2 of the NLCS on October 19th, Suarez did not allow a single run to score. That's 19 1/3 innings of shutout ball when it mattered most. He finished his first season stateside with a record of 5-1 and a 2.27 ERA across 47 2/3 innings. After the season ended and believing he had proven himself, Suarez decided to opt out of the second year of his contract and test the waters of free agency. His bet paid off, as he wasn't a free agent for too long, as just 10 days later, the Padres re-signed him to a 5-year, $46 million contract. On the heels of the team's first NLCS appearance in 25 years, Suarez was expected to be an important piece of the 2023 San Diego bullpen. Unfortunately for him, 2023 proved to be a nightmare. He began the season on the IL after suffering from arm stiffness and right elbow inflammation during spring training, eventually missing nearly the first 4 months of the season. When he finally returned to the mound, he pitched mostly well, except for a few hiccups here and there that inflated his numbers. He was also suspended for 10 games for a sticky stuff violation. In the end, 2023 ended for Suarez the way it had for his team. Full of expectations, but unable to deliver. He finished the season with a 4-3 record and a 4.23 ERA in just 27 2/3 innings. And that brings us to the present day. With Hader gone, Suarez is now the Padres' new closer. And so far, well, let's just say that he has more than held his own. As of the making of this video, Suarez is third in the NL in ERA amongst relievers that have thrown at least 10 innings, with a ridiculous 0.55 ERA, while also being tied for the Major League lead in saves with 12. Needless to say, Robert Suarez has arrived. It's stories like these, tales of perseverance, that is what the game is all about. It's a stark reminder that the sport we love goes far beyond Little League and travel ball fields. It isn't just about showcases and scholarships. It's as much about the high school and college players that dream of being drafted as it is about the countless young Latin American players honing their craft out in the dirt fields, of those that stray far from home every year as they carry the weight and responsibility of the family name on their back, all for one chance, one opportunity to try and change their stars. It's about one singular dream, one shared goal. reaching the majors. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on my thoughts and opinions in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the video, please don't forget to hit the like button below and subscribe so you don't miss any of my new content. I'm TK, and I'll catch you next time here on the Baseball Blues.